Today on The Streets Are Talking, The Streets Are Talking and Citizens Media Worldwide work together on documenting the story of Neil and Jerome, who are two individual creatives that have come together to create a positive message and a positive influence on the Toxteth community. Two creatives that combined their gifts and their talents in order to share stories that are life-changing, life-transforming, but also have a message for the people that are able to engage in their content.
Are you okay? How are you doing? Good to meet you. Okay.
So I will start by asking you to introduce yourself. So who are you and what do you feel like your purpose is through your work?
My name's Jerome, and I'm an actor, a poet, and a playwright. And my purpose is just to just be creative. Mm-hmm. And most of my work has always been in Toxteth, and it's just always been a lot of poetry based stuff, and I've worked in schools and so on, and I just told you I've been involved in writing plays. It's always been based on South Liverpool and Liverpool in general, and the world in general and society, but it's mainly Liverpool and that's it really. And just being creative.
Amazing.
And that's what I'm all about. And yeah.
Amazing. What about yourself?
My stage name's George Clooney. You might have seen me on the telly, but
Take no notice.
I go by the name of
Take no notice.
I go by the name of Neil Birchall, and I'm from the north end of Liverpool. And when I came down this end, it was lovely. Everyone's dead laid back. The creative scene's really vibrant, and I call this home now. Where I've settled here, been about 8 or 9 years in this area and surrounding areas for longer. So basically, I met Jerome about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was playing in an open mic night on the cajon with this drum with this other lad, and Jerome come and done a poem, and we ended up on a course together, a filming course. And he said, just have a tap on the table and do a beat, and I'll do a poem, and it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then he said, okay, we'll go to a jam night tonight and we'll perform it. Yeah. So that was our first rehearsal really was performing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
and we just went on a mini tour.
Yeah.
From the city centre.
Yeah.
And further afield, and I think we went to a gig outside Manchester. Was you there?
I wasn't there.
Oh, that was different. Yeah. But we just went on a little tour all over Liverpool, all the open mic nights, and that was.
So it's been good. It's been really good. I'm in recovery from alcohol binging, and so it's nice to go into a pub without having that as the focus and to perform as and be creative. And so I can go out now where early days I probably wouldn't have been able to go anywhere near the pub. So now I can quite happily go in and perform and enjoy the night. And it's just, so I'm still socialising without, having to rely on anything. But yeah, we were in first take for this filming charity, sets a charity project up. And they got funding for 8 short movies and 1 feature movie, and Jerome was involved more than me, weren't you? Yeah. But we did you could have a chance behind the camera on sound boom, writing scripts, all different roles within the industry, and then under the supervision of someone who's industry standards and that, and she supervised us, and it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah. As our kid said, because I was recovering from alcohol as well, because with being involved in the theatre profession, there's always booze everywhere. I'm not blaming it was down to myself as well, do you know what I mean? And I was also around drugs all the time, especially when I was touring and just doing gigs when I was touring my one-man play, do you know what I mean? There was a lot of times I was on stage off my bonnet, do you know what I mean? Just stoned and been drinking alcohol and been snorting. And all that shit, but it's just going on this film course meeting and Neil, I forget your name, don't I, half the time? Read mate. But it was good meeting like-minded people, and then I came down to a level, a level playing field, and Just got it comes to a time in your life where you just got to get your shit in order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just get on that level, man. You know what I mean?
I think being sober suits me more. You know, I can hear myself think a bit. You know,
suits everyone, innit?
It does. And your creative stuff comes out. You know, more so. You know, tenfold.
Yeah.
You'd think it was the other way round. You know, but it's not. And you know, I've been I played. I didn't play for years. I used to play as a kid the drums. And then I didn't play for years, and then there was a charity, an alcohol recovery charity, and they got me back on the kit. So it was all like tea and scones at half time, but it was still rock and roll, you know what I mean? We still had everyone bouncing in this band, so it was good. And it just got me that out of your comfort zone, because doing it sober, it's quite nerve-wracking, isn't it? And doing it sober took a lot to do, but you know, you grow, don't you, when you go out of your comfort zone. It's like, you know, it's good for you. So I love it. I love it now. You know, really do.
That's true, because I feel like I can resonate with that, because I write poetry as well. Like I'm a multidisciplinary creative, and I write, I act, I model, and I dance. And I feel like when I would go on stage, I used to feel like, oh my god, because I think in the creative industry there's always booze, and it's like it's encouraged almost.
Yeah.
So like when you do drink, you almost start to feel like your talent is dependent on you having drunk something, and you know, because it gives you that courage. But I think I then went through a phase where I was like, no, actually, I want to see whether I'm actually talented the way I believe I am without drinking. And I realised that like there's a difference, and I think when you rely on your talent rather than these outside things that you think give you courage, then you realise how really talented you are. Yeah, it's
real, isn't it? It's not a, you know, you're not hiding behind anything, are you? You know, it's
you're yourself. Nice.
That's good.
Yeah. So guys, what inspires you to write, like to be like a poet or write poetry?
It's just my observations on life, just everyday life. You know, watching television, going to theatre, reading the papers. It's just interacting with people, and that's it really. Just observations. All my poetry is about observations, and it's all real.
Yeah.
More deals with reality. It's
real reality life.
Yeah, it's not. I just write about what's happening around me.
Yeah.
That's what type of I am. There's some other. There's really a few other poems in the past that.
Yeah.
Wrote a poem about a teacup. That's going through a funky phase then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's all good. But it's all about reality. It's all like to do with like the good and the harsh reality of the streets.
Yeah.
There you go.
100%. What about you?
Do you know what I loved? Because we sort of come back about by accident. We just like stumbled across it, and but I love it. I love that. I love the edginess of it, and the reality of it.
Fun in life.
And it's something not a lot of people do spoken word with beats, but it's something quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
And people always go, oh, that's good. That's different. And depending on where you do, different audiences, you'll get different reactions. You know, you might get a bravo, you know, and then you might get, you know, so, and everything in between, isn't it? It's quite interesting just, you know, seeing, you know, different reactions. But I love it. It's something, it keeps you looking forward to the weekend, or to, you know, if we're doing a gig or something, it's something to look forward to. It keeps you fresh, and that adrenaline keeps you on your toes as well, you know. So it's
keeps you on the straight and narrow as well.
That's it. Yeah. So, and we have a laugh, you know. You've heard a bit of our banter already, but you know, we're always pulling each other, aren't we? So, but that's it's all healthy, you know.
So what sort of things that you talk about as well in like about poetry, anything like that? What sort of things?
Well, I mean, we don't really discuss it until we get together, but I don't really discuss it.
Is it like intuitive?
I just do it. It's just, if I'm amongst other poets, but we don't really talk about it when I'm with other poets. We just talk about other things. Cause like, people think I'm a poet, I'm gonna chat about it all the time, and it's like sometimes you just don't want to talk about it. It's talk about just normal things like football. Football.
Football.
You know what I mean? I gotta do some painting out.
Because some people
gotta clean the dishes.
I don't know. I've heard
like that.
Yeah, I've heard some people say that like musician.
Yeah.
Is there any difference between musician and poet? Like.
No, the difference is perform. I mean, I do spoken word, so I just rely on the voice.
Okay.
I'm not hiding behind anything. I'm just there live and direct without an instrument.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it with Neil, but that's the difference. I'm live and direct without.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding behind anything. I'm there right in front of your face. I'm not knocking musicians down. I play guitar myself, but you know, it's that's the difference. You've got something to rely on. I'm just relying on my voice.
Yeah.
To connect with the audience.
Yeah, and that's the difference, and yeah, just hopefully getting them in.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel about your creative endeavors, and how does it make you feel? And do you think more people should be connected to their creativity?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely, it's given me a lease of life, you know. It's really, you know, like I went through a lot of struggles in life, and you know, I've turned that corner, and a framework or a structure to try and get back on track was doing this, you know, and it was enjoyable, it was creative, it was, you know, it's really got me focused and got me enjoying life again, and being, as I say, being able to socialise without having to rely on any, you know, liquids or anything, you know. So yeah, it's really, and it makes me think about things, you know, like listening to some of the poetry. It's fantastic, you know. I'm just playing the beat to it, but it inspires you, you know, and being around other poets and other musicians and creative, you know, when we're doing the jam nights and that, it's really it gets you, it's contagious, you know. It gets you creative.
So why do you guys both think it's important for stories to come out of Toxteth?
Well, it's important because you need to hear about the truth about what's going on in the Toxteth, because it gets a lot of.
So why do you guys both think it's important for stories to come out of Toxteth?
Well, it's important because you need to hear about the truth about what's going on in the Toxteth, because it gets a lot of bad press sometimes, but there's like 90% positivity in Toxteth, you know, 90%. You get your good and bad side in all communities throughout the world, but it's good because you need to educate people, especially our youth, and then the youth, and then children, and then going back to babies, and you need to get this information to, we need to expand this information throughout the whole of this country, throughout Merseyside, throughout the country, and then expand out through like Europe and so on, back to Mother Africa and so on. So people need to know the truth. It's about education, information about the truth about what's going on in a close-knit community, and that's why it's important to get the story across. And it's a true story. It's got a start, a middle, and an end, and plus it's going to go on and on and on and on into positivity, and that's why it's important. It's important.
I think also, like, out of struggles, creativity is born, isn't it? And people have got a story to tell, and you know, it's good that good comes out of bad, and positive comes out of negative, and it's you know, it's nice. There's a lot of creativity in this area, and it's nice to maybe, you know, promote that, and you know, be part of that. You know, I really get a buzz out of it, and you know, it's helped me in my journey, and hopefully that'll help others in theirs. You know, and I think that's all we can do, isn't it? Tell our truth, and hopefully people learn from that, and you know, get inspired by that, etc., etc. You know.
And what do you think people should do in Toxteth that are creative, that don't get their voices heard? What would be your suggestion, like through your own experiences?
Well, just you need to get your voice heard. Do you know what I mean? Get your voice heard. You know, you start with yourself, looking after yourself as an individual, as a human being. Always start with yourself, and that'll connect to other people. But in order to get your voice heard, you got to look after number one.
I think there's a lot out there, isn't there, as well? Yeah. You know, once you've done that and you've got your thing, then you can go. There's like loads of organisations in the area, or you know, community leaders or people you can advise you. You know, and you know, you can build on that. You know, and get the ball rolling. You know what I mean?
But and it always starts with education.
Yeah.
Always got to start with education. That's where everything stems from. You need a good good firm education behind you, and you need to just you know, let that flourish. It's education. That's where everything comes back to, an education, a firm education.
Seeing as you're both obviously from two completely different backgrounds and you've come together, and I think you both do represent what Toxteth is about, but not just Toxteth but Liverpool. The fact that it is a pool of life, you've got diverse cultures, and you guys are representative of that because you've come together. But like, how can organisations that do have big platforms, how can they do better in being representative not only of black creatives, but also people that are like yourselves that have come from different backgrounds to create something that is life transforming?
Yeah, well, we have to take into account, you've got to take this into account. It's going to be quite harsh here. We live in a dominantly white man's country. This is a white man's country. I live in a white man's country. I'm one of the so-called minorities, and that's a difficult, that's it's going to be a difficult like task to get over. You know, you'll always like cater for the majority, that's how it works in most like civilizations throughout the world, and it's going to be difficult. It's always going to be that struggle opening these platforms up for the black generations and black creativity. It's always going to be that difficult. So I think we need to like create our own platforms. That's what we need to do, create our own. This is what I was talking to you about before, that education, we need to start with the education and create our own like platforms and let that flourish. That's what we need to be doing. Do you know what I mean?
I think we're spoilt in Toxteth because we've already got that multicultural thing going on, and it's a big community, and there's lots of creativity in that community. So we're spoiled really, aren't we? You know, it's a special situation, you know, where I suppose it's not echoed, you know, further afield, and it needs to be, you know, because, you know, I just feel honoured that I'm part of this, you know, community, and that I've helped out in the community a few times in different venues and projects, and it's just, it's how it should be, you know, it really is how it should be, and the fact that it isn't elsewhere is such a shame, because people are missing out on good vibes and good times, you know, and creativity, the main thing, you know.